to rock this place.
Welcome to the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy. This is season 3, episode 18. And now that we're finally into playoff football, we're ready to talk some wild card games with my co-host, Joe Dallio. So without any further delay, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going great. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you were talking about wild card games. I think it's more like wild card craziness going on.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of excitement, as to be expected. You know, I said, and I've been saying for a while here, we're going to have 14 teams in this tournament, 12 of which have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Now we're down to 8. And, this is what happens when you get this many teams that are this close in skill and talent. And, when the games are this much of a toss-up, these are the kind of games that you're going to get. And I think it's only going to get better here. We have 8 teams left, 8 of which any 8, in my opinion, are worthy of not only getting to the Super Bowl, but winning it.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of wild card, are you ready to start it off with the Saturday 4:30 game between the 12-5 LA Rams taking on the 8-9 Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium?
I am ready.
So let's do it. With 11:35 left in the first quarter, Puka Nacua Matata caught a 14-yard catch from Matthew Stafford to bring the score to 7-0 Rams. With 12:60 left in the second quarter, Nacua ran it in for a 5-yard touchdown, bringing the score to 14-0 LA. Yep. With 8:53 left in the second quarter, Chuba Hubbard ran it in for a 1-yard touchdown, to cutting the lead to 14-7 Rams. With 5:24 left in the second quarter, Harrison Mavis kicked a 46, the thicker kicker, Harrison Mavis, kicked a 46-yard field goal to increase the lead to 17-7 Rams. With 7 seconds left in the half, Bryce, forever young. I want to be forever young. Ran it in for a 16-yard score to close out the half at 17-14 Rams. With 7:29 left in the third, Ryan Fitzgerald, no, not Ryan Fitzpatrick or Larry Fitzgerald, but Ryan Fitzgerald, and he's a kicker, kicked a 46-yard field goal to tie the score at 17-all. With 4:17 left in the third quarter, Mavis kicked his second field goal to close out the third quarter and bring the score to 20-17 Rams. With 14:34 left in the fourth quarter, Hubbard ran it in for his second touchdown for 3 yards to bring the score to 24-20 Carolina. Mm-hmm. With 8:47 left in the fourth, Kyron Williams caught a 13-yard pass from Stafford to give the Rams the lead, 27-24. With 2:39 left in the fourth, Jalen Coker caught a 1-yard pass, bringing the score to 31-27. With 38 seconds left in the fourth, Colby Parkinson caught a 19-yard pass from Stafford to secure the win and move on to the NFC division round with a final score 34-31. So, Joe, what did you think of an exciting first playoff game with the Rams pulling it out 34-31 on the road?
Well, I was thinking, what a way to start the playoffs. Again, I had high expectations for these playoffs. Again, 12 out of 14 teams with a chance to get to the Super Bowl, I thought. Now, the Panthers were not one of those 12. They were one of the 2 besides the Steelers, that I thought didn't have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But let me just tell you, the Panthers showed up. And they not only just showed up, but they came this close to winning this game and would have deserved it in every way. Now, I thought this game wouldn't be as close as it was because I thought the Rams were going to be coming in here ticked off because the Panthers embarrassed them on this very field a few weeks ago. And again, I just didn't think the Panthers were ready for prime time yet. I thought the Rams would have control of things, and it started out that way with that I would believe you said it were 14-0 lead that they were at. But this game was entertaining in all aspects. I watched the whole game here, and, I thought for a few minutes here that the Panthers were going to win it. And, people were talking about them, and I totally agree that the Panthers' future is very bright here. They were talking about some of their offensive stars here, besides Bryce Young, who I think is slowly but surely molding into the quarterback that they thought they were getting. But you mentioned Jalen Coker, who had over 134 yards. McMillan played a great game here too. So these are two, and even Tommy Tremble, you got three really rising wide receivers here along with Young, that this could be a very exciting offense going forward if things continue this way. So if I was a Carolina Panthers fan, I would be very proud of the way my team showed up, the way they fought, the way they really believed that they can win this game, and they came this close. Now let's take it to the other side in the Rams. And again, it was closer than a lot of people, including myself, thought. But again, no panic at all. Not once did I see a panic here, even as it's late within the last couple of minutes and the Rams behind and their season on the line. No panic whatsoever. Guess who showed up? Puka Nacua, 100 yards receiving again. He had like 111 or something like that, a touchdown, and just clutch plays all over the place. And, even somebody like Devontae Adams that started really slow. I'm not even sure he had a catch in the first half, but ended up still with 73 yards and making some impactful plays as well. Tyler Higbee, same thing, got off to a slow start, making a couple of big catches here, including like a 36-yarder. So I love the way the Rams didn't panic. Still felt like they were going to win this game, and they certainly did. And just it's one of those games where you hate to see a team lose it. And credit to both teams, the one, for winning and putting themselves in a position to move on. And even in defeat, I think the Panthers can be proud of not only their effort here, but the strides that they've made in the 2025 NFL season and the optimism that they have for 2026 and beyond.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think about Stafford outplaying Bryce Young in a quarterback duel?
Well, I expected Stafford to outplay Bryce Young in this game, but he didn't do it by much. I'll tell you that. As far as where I had some things written down here, a little bit of a higher quarterback rating. It was like 93 for Stafford and only about 73 for Bryce Young, somewhere in there. But both played very well, and again, I would have expected Stafford to outplay Young before this game even started. And he did slightly here. Stafford was over 300 yards and Bryce Young was a little bit short of that, but still he had like 264. So again, both quarterbacks played well. And again, both should be proud of how things turned out. Again, Bryce Young might not be proud of how it turned out. But again, no shame in the way he played.
That's true. So let's turn our attention to the second Saturday wildcard playoff game between the 9-7-1 Green Bay Packers versus the 11-6 Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. So here we go, folks. With 7:02 left in the first quarter, Cairo Santos kicked a 27-yard field goal, and the Bears led 3-0. With 2:06 left in the first quarter, not Deshaun Watson, but Christian Watson caught a 7-yard pass to bring the score to 7-3 Packers. With 6:46 left in the second, Jalen Reed Dog Reed caught a 18-yard pass from Jordan Love to increase the lead to 14-3 Packers. Stop hate, choose love. Jordan Love. With 1:56 left in the half, Romeo Dobbs with that balloon size Guardian cap that he wears.
Right.
That's probably the biggest Guardian cap I've ever seen sit on a human head. But he caught a 1-yard touchdown pass to bring the score at halftime to 21-3 Packers. So I guess he had, Joy, I think he must have had a hard head or a thick skull to catch that one, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, pretty soon those are probably going to be normal, right? Everybody's going to have those big balloon helmets.
Mm-hmm. It'll be I think once people get used to it, it might be entertaining to watch. We'll see.
Right.
But, that means think about it. Maybe it finally means you can hit people in the head again, and at least that's going to soften the blow. You know what I mean with those.
Well, it's going to be funny around the year 2040 when kids are watching football and then they're watching highlights of the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl championship in 2025. And they're watching, they're like, why are those guys wearing such little helmets? Right.
Right. It's like it's like when we go back and look at why are they wearing leather helmets, because
exactly. Right.
But think about it. Maybe they'll allow for hits to the head again within reason, but because think about it, at least those things will soften the blow. They soften the blow of concussions. They manage it at least.
We look at the helmets too. We like, why do they only have one wire around the face mask? That's instead of like the whole face covering.
No, anyway, again, guys, I'm not encouraging concussions. I'm just saying maybe they'll actually allow. They'll have an exception to the rule of hits to the head because those safety guardians protect the head. I wasn't trying to insurrect anything there. Don't worry, folks. Anyway, with 10:07 left in the third quarter, Santos kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 34 yards to bring the score to 21-6 Packers. With 13:29 left in the fourth quarter, Santos kicked his third field goal of the game, this time for 51 yards to bring the score to 21-9 Packers. So, Joe, it was 21-3. But what do the Bears like to do when in the fourth quarter? What do they start doing? Making a comeback, right? And I didn't think it was going to happen because they were all talking about Caleb Williams, the big moments. Like, yeah, that's in the regular season. See if he could do in the playoffs, but stay tuned here because it looks like he is. But anyway, with
the Packers, I think, are big fans of Olivia Rodrigo, and I'll explain that when you're done.
Okay. With 10:08 left in the fourth, DeAndre Smith ran it in for a 6-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 21-16 Packers. With 6:36 left in the fourth, Matthew Golden, who didn't have a regular season catch, who didn't have one catch in the regular season, as Al Michaels mentioned, caught his first one in the playoffs for a 23-yard touchdown. But Brandon McManus missed the extra point to bring the score to 27-16 Packers. But, Joe, it's like, the extra point doesn't matter, right? They're up by 11, right?
But yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, with 4:18 left in the fourth, Olamide Zaccheaus caught an 8-yard pass, and the 2-point conversion was good, bringing the score to 27-24 Packers. Sorry, I think I heard the Packers. Okay. Anyway.
I hear Olivia Rodrigo singing.
What was her? What was the song? You said you were going to mention the reference.
It's called Deja Vu.
Oh, yeah. Do you get deja vu? Now I get it. Okay. With 4:13 left in the, or never mind, with 1:43 left in the fourth quarter, DJ more caught a 25-yard pass to give the Bears a win 31-27 and advance them to the NFC divisional round. So, Joe, what do you think about the Bears having to rely on a comeback win again, but this time in the playoffs to move on, not in the regular season?
Well, again, let's talk about the Olivia Rodrigo deja vu in several ways here. Now, you would think that the Packers would have learned. I kept getting flashbacks to 3 weeks ago, right? You would have think that the Packers would learn. Like, I'm a teacher and I teach my students all the time, okay? Look, you're not going to be perfect. Mistakes are going to happen. But when you make a mistake, you can learn from it. And if you learn from it, then it's a victory instead. So I wish I could be the teacher in the Packers locker room. 3 weeks ago, they were up by 1,000 points and somehow choked away a game in unreal fashion to the Chicago Bears in Chicago. And guess what happens here? They're up by 100 points again. And you would think that it's not like it was 3 years ago or 30 years ago. It was 3 freaking weeks ago. You would think that this team would have in the back of their mind of what happened 3 weeks before. But no, same thing happens. Now, even personally, 3 weeks ago, I was watching a little bit of that game, and I was like, you know what? Again, people here know my bedtime gets earlier and earlier and earlier. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed, and I'm not even going to listen to this game because it's over. And then I come to find out the craziness that happened when the Bears won that game. You would have thought I'd learned my lesson because in this game, again, a Saturday night that, hey, I could have stayed up and watched it. I watched the first half. It's 21-3. I was like, you know what? I can go to bed now and I'll listen. No, I'm not even going to listen to this game. It's over. The Bears are done and the Packers move on. So stupid me misses the comeback too, finds out the next morning. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. So again, Packers, your memory must be really short because you would have thought their radar would be up even at the slightest rumbling of the Bears trying to get some momentum and make a comeback here. Now, one person you cannot blame for this loss is Jordan Love. I mean, he showed up, 4 touchdown passes, I believe he had over 300 in this game, and an incredible game by Jordan Love and some of his receivers there. Defensively, it's a different story for the Packers. So, and you know what? You want to talk about a star in the making. How about Colston Loveland? Now, this is a guy that I drafted on my fantasy team early in the season, and by week 4, I had cut him. Okay. Now, yeah, my fantasy team wasn't that good. And again, I had a guy named Jake Ferguson, the tight end also, who was basically being very productive. But Loveland was long gone. And now I've seen, as this season has gone on, him playing like the guy that everybody thought he was going to. And if this continues, he's going to be one of the top tight ends in the league very shortly.
He's just a rookie too.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And again, he got off to a slow start in this game. He wasn't there the first half. All of a sudden exploded and gets over 100 yards. And I don't think he scored, but I mean, he had over 100 yards in there. So, kudos to him as well. But really, I mean, come on, Packers. Now, I had no rooting. Well, I did have a rooting interest in this game because I had a bet on the Packers, and I thought it was a shoo-in. It's 21-3. This is a win, and no, not quite. So, I'm not critical because I lost a bet, but because how can a team, again, when the same exact thing happened a few weeks before, allow the same exact thing to happen again on this stage? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. Joe, it's too bad. Could you imagine Colston Loveland on the Bills with the way the Bills use their tight ends instead of wide receivers? I mean, think about it.
Right. Would that be scary for opposing defenses like Dalton Kincaid on one side and Loveland on the other side? Imagine that.
I'm saying what you would do is you would put Dawson Knox as what you would do? You would put him as a slot tight end. You know how you have a slot receiver? That's what you would do.
Yeah.
The old school split end, like they did back in the day. Yeah. That was the tight end, the split end. So, anyway, so Joe, do you think that the Brandon McManus missing those extra points contributed to the Packers' loss? Because I think people will argue that it did, but other people may argue it was just one play and they could have they had chances to not blow it in other areas too of the game. But what do you think?
Definitely, one play doesn't make a situation like this. It's a combination and a culmination of plays. So no, definitely one play doesn't make a difference. Now, one play could, completely turn the momentum going that way and cause the culmination of events that cause a loss like this. But you can't blame one play for losing it. I don't think, not in this case anyway. Sometimes you can, but not this time.
Right. So are you ready to talk about our game of the
I
week?
am certainly ready.
The 12-5 Buffalo Bills versus the 13-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. Am I reading that right? Yeah, I am. At Everbank Stadium. So anyway, here we go. With 2:59 left in the first, Matt Prater kicked a 50-yard field goal to bring the score to 3-0 Bills. Prater was healthy and he made a field goal. There you go. Super Bowl.
That's good.
I'm just joking. With 14:17 left in the second quarter, Trevor Sunshine Lawrence passed a 3-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ, scoring his third receiving touchdown of the season, bringing the score to 7-3 Jags. With 5:51 left in the second quarter, Josh Allen scored on a 92-yard drive, taking it on a 2-yard run to give the Bills the lead 10-7. With 8:16 left in the third quarter, Prater kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 47 yards, to increase the Bills' lead to 13-7. With 8:16 left in the third, I already did that. With 5:52 left in the third quarter, Cam Little, although he may be little, but his last name may be Little, but his leg is very big, kicked a 43-yard field goal to cut the lead to 13-10 Bills. With 12:59 left in the fourth, Parker Washington scored on an 11-play, 62-yard drive, taking 6:03 off the clock on a 6-yard tutty to take the lead 17-16 Jacksonville. With 8:56 left in the fourth quarter, Dalton Kincaid scored on a 9-play, 65-yard drive, scoring his 6th receiving touchdown this season on a 15-yard touchdown pass from Allen to regain the lead 20-17. With 4:13 left in the fourth quarter, Travis Etienne, there's no place like home, Jr. scored his first postseason receiving touchdown on a 10-play, 7-yard drive with Lawrence passing them for 14 yards to bring the score to 24-20 Jags. Well, looks like the Bills can start the buses, Joe, right? And it looks like their road playoff drought is going to continue, right? But hold on, because 4 minutes is an eternity for Allen and the Bills. Allen and the Bills, anyway. Allen, with 1:04 left in the fourth quarter, Allen scored on a 1-yard tush push, which the Bills were 4 for 4 on, to give the Bills the lead 27-24. On the Jags' last drive, Cole Bishop intercepted Lawrence throw to get the Bills the win to advance to the AFC divisional round. So, Joe, how does it feel for this team to finally win a road wildcard playoff game since 1992? When they went to their third straight Super Bowl that year.
Yes, Elton. Jamie. It's definitely great to get that monkey off the back and to get a big win, and certainly great for the franchise here. And this was one of those games that neither team was going to lose, and it's such a shame that one of them had to lose it. Another game's very similar to the Rams game. Both teams were playing like they weren't going to lose it and had full confidence that they were going to win it. Jacksonville was completely confident that it was their game. The Bills, even when they were losing late, this was their game to win, they felt like. And just two heavyweights, two very evenly matched teams going against each other. Again, it's a shame that a team had to lose. I do feel very bad for Jacksonville fans because, even Dylan here, who we had on the show last week, he put a message through. He said, you know what? I really believe that this team could go to the Super Bowl. And I think a lot of Jaguar fans thought that. And how many opportunities do the Jaguars get to go to the Super Bowl? I think this is one of their best ones ever. And certainly, again, no fault of theirs. I mean, it's not like they have anything to be embarrassed about. It's not like you can pinpoint something and say, oh my goodness, you could always pinpoint a couple of things here and there. But certainly, they were just beat by a better team. And, that's it. And they had a chance to win this game. Trevor Lawrence gave his team a chance to win it. We were talking about like Coker and McMillan on Carolina, some up and coming receivers. How about Parker Washington here? He's another up and coming.
We couldn't stop him all day, but go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, and that's true. And, I think he's going to be an excellent receiver, down the road here. And, the Jaguars have a lot of reason for optimism. Again, can they get this close again or maybe take the next step? That remains to be seen. But one thing they have is, not a lot of people expected them to win the AFC South this year. So I'm sure they're disappointed and they really wanted to go further. But again, I think once the hurt and the pain of this loss is over for them, they're going to look back and say, what a great year it was. And let's ride that momentum. As far as the Bills are concerned, the main reason I thought the Bills were going to win this game was because of the experience and the veteran leadership. And I honestly think that's exactly what got them there, from, the top to Josh Allen and, the defense making big plays when they needed to, especially guys like Russo and Milano and people like that. So I think it was ultimately the Bills' experience that got them this win, besides the key plays by some of these guys. So they firmly believe that they can go all the way. And that's if this team firmly believes that could be bad news for the rest of the AFC and for the rest of the NFL, the remaining playoff teams. So, again, a gutty effort by the Bills to get this victory. Again, Jaguar fans, you have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. I know it stings. I know it hurts. But, Bills fans, I think we got reason to be excited. Again, still a long way to go and some tough teams to play here. But, they made a giant first step here and kudos to them.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Joe, the one thing I do want to say, though, is like I said, what I think people are sleeping on?
What's that?
Like, I don't think people realize, I think our defense is flying under the radar because, remember for all the problems we had stopping the run and we were the number one pass defense and everything. Mm-hmm. This is a defense, so that has talent, and it may not be getting the publicity of like the Seahawks or the Texans and things like that, but they can close out games and they can get it done, especially in the playoffs. Their defense can be good enough, like those teams, to go far, even though it may not get the publicity it deserves. This defense, that's what people were saying.
Well, Jamie, what I think the difference is at this point is, again, it's the same group they've had, right? A talented group.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season, there was a lot of cases where they were just not making the plays when they had to make the plays. Okay. Now, the last few games of the season and in this playoff game here, they made the plays at the right times that had to be made. And again, some of those weren't being made in the middle of the season. And that's what caused, some of the big yards and some of the losses and stuff like that. So, it just goes to show that you don't have to be ultra talented, although, again, this is a very talented defense. And the rankings, matter, yes. And, I'm a stats guy, so I pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But, sometimes, especially in the playoffs, the rankings aren't always the number one thing. It's, when you needed to make a play, you made that play. Okay. And that's in all sports, real quick. I'm an Islanders fan. And, when they won 4 Stanley Cups, they had a goalie named Billy Smith. And if you look at his stats, he was good stats, but he always made the big save when that save had to be made. And that's why he was such an MVP. That's why I said Dominic Hasek of the Sabres here real quick. We're going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Had all the stats in the world and was an amazing Hall of Fame goalie, but never won the championship with the Sabres because there was a lot of times he didn't make the big save when they needed it. And, it's the same. That's how I see the Bills defense right now, right now anyway. And if this continues, it's going to be, they're going to go far. They are making the plays when they need to make the plays. And that's what matters right now. And if that continues, they're going to go far.
And I think credit goes to McDermott and Babbitt really all year for figuring that out. So because right now it's working for them in the playoffs.
That's right. And kudos to the Jaguars too. Now I was very curious as how this was going to go, because you got the league's number 1 rusher going against the league's number 1 rushing defense. And, the Jaguars did win that battle. I mean, Cook, he had some decent runs, but 11 yards was his longest, and he only had 45 for the game and averaged like 3 yards a carry. So again, that's not a fault to him. That's just the Jaguars' run defense that everybody was talking about showing up and doing what they do best. But a big reason that the Bills won this game is because they found other ways to move the ball. And again, making offensive plays too when they needed to make those plays. So, the defense stepped up, but the offense figured out a way. James Cook really wasn't as effective because of that excellent run defense of the Jaguars. The Bills still figured out how to score 27 points here.
And so, Joe, what about Trey White's play during the game? I think he really stepped up too.
He's one of those veterans, that I didn't mention his name, but, making plays at the right time. You want to talk about a player that did that? I would definitely put him on that list. Yes. Again, I mentioned Milano, and he had a couple of tackles for a loss, and Russo had a sack and some key plays as well. So yes, Trey White, one of those veterans that showed up and made plays when they needed him to.
Mm-hmm. Were you a little nervous with the game-changing score so many times? Why or why not?
I was a lot nervous because even though, again, the Bills have that veteran presence and the experience, and again, we're playing to win here, so are the Jaguars. And, and the Jaguars are no slouch. This is not like the Bills playing, New Orleans in the middle of the season, and they're going to pull out. I was at that
game, by the way.
Right. They're going to eventually pull that out, and here, I had a feeling they were going to pull this out, but there was a lot more doubt in my mind with a team as great as the Jaguars here. And, I was certainly nervous about it and thought that there was a good chance, as confident as I were that they were going to win this game. Of course, there's that lingering doubt in the back of my mind that, this team's going to take it from them, and they're really good. And the Bills might be the team that comes up short here. What were you thinking along the way?
I was a little nervous in that last minute, but I was like, we got Josh Allen. We're gonna make the play, and he didn't. How about that play to Brandon Cooks? I think that was the start of that.
Yeah, Cooks made a few great plays, and we got Jeremy here saying hello. So we say hello to you, Jeremy, and certainly appreciate you watching here.
Thank you.
So, again, definitely that lingering doubt in the back of my mind, and ultimately thinking that Superman was going to take over and put the team on his back, like you're saying there, Jeremy. Again, ultimately thinking they were going to win, but with a team as good as the Jaguars, that there was some doubt at some point.
Mm-hmm. And Joe, What did you think about Jacksonville going from worst to first under new head coach Liam Cohen? Because, like I said, I told Dylan you were gonna like him, and he didn't really believe me, I think. And I thought he was gonna be good, but I thought, okay, they were gonna go from they would maybe go 7-10 and 8-9, and then next year they would take off. But what did you think that he made that big of a turnaround from?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought the Jaguars would be a decent team, maybe going 8-9, something like that, I think is where I had them. But yeah, this is definitely incredible. And again, the Jaguars fans are going through the sting of this loss now. But once it wears off and they look back, I think, again, they're going to be very proud of what was accomplished here and going from, where they were to a first place, to a division championship here. And, just ran into a great Bills team that ultimately, got the win here. So, talking about a coach of the year candidate, why not? I'm not sure if he would get it. I don't think he will, but I mean, certainly would be in the conversation for sure.
Yeah. So Joe, what did you also think about Josh Allen? He took a beating in that game, but he just kept on ticking. And I think it's amazing. This dude's so tough. I was joking that I feel like he could get struck by lightning and still play. That's how tough he is.
He's extremely tough, and he did take a beating. Now, I was thinking too, though, he seemed a lot more fresh in this game, which would make sense because he basically had, 2 weeks off here. I thought the game before the Jets game, I was like, man, this guy looks just, half dead here. And I was like, I don't know how he's going to be going into the playoffs, but I think it was very smart to sit him out of that Jets game. He got his start and kept his record going there or kept his streak going or whatever. But I think the fact that he had 2 weeks off, he just seemed a lot more fresh in this game. So, that's a good thing. And yes, he did get the crap kicked out of him here, but again, just kept going and going and going. And again, just showed how tough he is, like you said. So, I think he'll be fine and ready to go for this Denver game coming up.
I agree. And Joe, let's actually talk about something that I think is pretty wild. So earlier in the season, Joe, when remember how they wanted to ban the tush push play? Mm-hmm. Sean McDermott and the Bills were one of the teams that voted to ban it, right? But and obviously now because it's legal, they were 4-for-4 against Jacksonville running it, and that was part of the reason why they won. And Jacksonville voted to keep it, and they were 0-for-4 stopping it. How crazy is that?
That's a little bit ironic there, so, I'm glad it worked out for the Bills here. And, just to answer Jamie's question here, he's putting Cohen, Johnson, and Mike McDonald as coach of the year candidates. I didn't really take the time to think about it, and he's pointing to Ben Johnson, and you could have something there. I wouldn't be surprised. He certainly deserves it. So do those other guys. Vrabel's going to be in the conversation too. So I guess we'll find out shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, Joe, now let's take a look at the Sunday 4:30 matchup between the 12-5 San Francisco 49ers taking on the 11-6 Philadelphia Eagles. Bradley Cooper's team at Lincoln Financial Field. With 11:51 left in the first, Demarcus Robinson caught a 3-yard touchdown pass from Brock Purdy to give the 49ers the lead 7-0. With 6:16 left in the first quarter, Dallas Goedert, he's from Dallas, but he plays for Philly. No, his first name is Dallas, and he plays for Philly.
Right.
Scored on a 1-yard rush, but Jake Elliott, who used to be sure-footed, missed the extra point, bringing the score to 7-6 49ers. With 6:10 left in the second quarter, Goddard caught a 9-yard pass from Jalen Hurts. So good. to give the Eagles their first lead 13-7. With 2:50 left in the second, Eddie Pinheiro kicked a 36-yard field goal to bring the score to 13-10. With 2:11 left in the third, Jake Elliott kicked a 41-yard field goal to bring the score to 16-10, Philly. With 14:52 left in the fourth, Christian McCaffrey caught a pass from Jawan Jennings to bring the score to 17-16 49ers. With 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Jake Elliott kicked his second field goal, this time for 33 yards, to bring the score to 19-17. With 2:54 left in the fourth quarter, McCaffrey caught a 4-yard touchdown pass from Purdy to seal the win, 23-19. And they will face the Seattle Seahawks in the divisional playoff round. So, Joe, what do you think about the reigning Super Bowl champs now being defeated and out of the playoffs, one and done this year?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean to Eagles fans, but I think they got what they deserve, because a lot of the season they've just been one of those maddening teams. You know, they're so good and they have so much talent and they're defending Super Bowl champions. But, you know, the offense so many times didn't get going and they would lose games that they weren't supposed to lose. And, you know, you would think their record would be so much better than what it was. Or they would, you know, they would win games by 4 points that they should have won by, you know, 17 points, you know, that kind of thing. And it finally caught up to them here because this is one of those games they were winning, you know, quite a bit of it. And you thought, you know, would eventually take it away. And again, I was 0 for 2 this weekend because this was my most sure bet of the weekend. I had the Eagles. They were like 4.5-point favorites, I believe. And to me, this was a shoo-in. I thought the Eagles would win by a touchdown and, you know, again, be in control of it most of the way. But it just didn't turn out that way. And, you know, give credit to the 49ers. Now, one thing I did not realize before this is they were 7-2 on the road during the regular season. You know, they were a little disappointed that they lost that game to Seattle for the division and they were, you know, going to have to play all their games at home. So what? 7-2 away from Santa Clara and no fear playing on the road here. And, you know, we got Jeremy still here saying that he's got the Seahawks winning that next week. And however, the 49ers covering. And that's exactly how I see it. You know, we'll talk about what's going to happen in a little bit here. But that's how I see it. You know, now the only thing about the 49ers is they've had, I mean, you got to give them so much credit for getting this far with all the injuries that they've had, with all the adversity that they've had. I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, though, because of it catches up. When you're running uphill for the whole race, eventually you're going to run out of energy before everybody else does. And I think this is going to catch up to San Francisco, and I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. But I think even just getting to this point, they should be extremely proud, and it's a major accomplishment. And again, I wouldn't put them past beating Seattle. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would not be surprised. And again, they play so well on the road that, you know, I wouldn't put it past them. But, you know, where the heck did this guy DeMarcus Robinson come from? I mean, he had like, you know, 100+ yards, 18.5 yards a catch, a touchdown in there, making big plays left and right. Eagles couldn't stop him. You would think after a few big players, after a couple of them, they'd be looking for him. But no, you know, he'd make a couple of more. You know, interesting stat. Now, everybody who watches this show knows how I'm in love with like the quarterback rating stat. Jawan Jennings has a quarterback rating of 158.3 in this game.
Because of the trick play.
Yeah, of course, only threw one pass, but it was a touchdown pass in that 29-yard trick play there. But I find it funny as I'm looking at the stats. Now, Purdy had like a mediocre rating at like 80.3, you know, because of those interceptions. And I was convinced he was even going to throw more interceptions here. If I was a 49ers fan, I wouldn't have much confidence in this game. But I was laughing as I saw Jennings with the 158, ranking there. But that was a great play and a turning point in the game. And McCaffrey, who did almost nothing in the first half, not his fault. The Eagles were just keying in on him and stopping him. Certainly made his presence known and, made the great play there on the catch from the pass by Jennings. So, again, the Eagles, it's hard to repeat. Everybody knows that. And, again, when you look at it, 11-6 and winning your division again, it's not a bad season. But I think the expectations were just a little bit higher for them. And people are, Philadelphia, they expected another Super Bowl. And so falling short of that, I'm sure is not going to go too well there. But again, this team's going to be around for a while. They're still very good. Yes, they're going to have to make some changes. But if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm still confident going into next season as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what did you think about the 49ers game plan and how well they executed it, especially with Kittle getting hurt, going to Lincoln Financial Field? They stuck to what they were doing, and it worked even without them.
Well, I could say this. They completely won the coaching battle here. I mean, both, Shanahan and especially Robert Saleh, he might have just gotten himself hired again by another team after that defensive effort. And they just had an excellent plan. They had everything figured out. Yes, the Eagles hurt themselves and, A.J. Brown complaining that he doesn't get the ball and this and that. And then he does, and he drops a couple of big passes there. But still, it seems like the 49ers had the perfect plan and the Eagles did not. Yeah, the 49ers were totally organized and sticking to the plan. The Eagles were all over the place. So the 49ers completely outcoached the Eagles in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, now moving on to the 8 p.m. Sunday game between the 11-6 Los Angeles Chargers against the 14-3 New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium. Oh, that just annoys me. The Pats, number 2 seed, playing a home game at Gillette again.
Yeah, it's all too familiar, unfortunately.
But the difference is we're in the playoffs this time, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm. With 13:32 left in the second quarter, Andy Borregales kicked a 23-yard field goal to bring the score to 7-0 New England. With 6:52 left in the second, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, kicked a 21-yard field goal to knot the game at 3-0. With 2 seconds left in the half, Borregales kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 35 yards to end the half at 6-3 New England. With 1:34 left in the third quarter, Borregales kicked his third field goal of the game, this time for 39 yards to increase their lead to 9-3 New England. With 9:45 left in the fourth quarter, Hunter Henry caught a 29-yard pass from Drake. It's gonna be May to seal the win, 16-3, and move on to the AFC divisional round. So, Joe, what did you think about Justin Herbert struggling in this game? Because it looks like his playoff woes continue.
Well, I only saw the first half of this game, and when I read about this and saw the score, my first thought is, oh my God, Justin Herbert chokes again. But the more I read about this game and the highlights and the reports I heard after it, it sounds like this guy's lucky to be alive. I mean, he just didn't have a prayer, and he was getting destroyed. You think Josh Allen got the crap kicked out of him. I mean, again, Justin Herbert is lucky to still be standing here. So you cannot blame Justin Herbert for this loss, in my opinion. I mean, somehow the Chargers were still in this game, in the fourth quarter here. And I don't know, how the Patriots didn't, pull ahead further, and they eventually won 16-3 here. But yeah, Justin Herbert's lucky to be alive from what it sounds like. So, if you look at it on the surface, again, you might say that, oh God, Justin Herbert playoff woes continue, and he's never going to amount to anything and this and that. But some of his offensive weapons were missing, and the line is kind of messed up and had some major injuries to it. So, if they retool and he gets some guys to throw to and the offensive line blocks for him, I think you'll see still at least there's a chance that we see that Justin Herbert can make some noise and take his team far.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Now on to our last, but certainly not least, wild card game, the Monday night 8:15 matchup between the 12-5 Texans traveling to Acrisure Stadium, Heinz Field, to play the 10-7 Steelers. Oh, look, the Steelers won the division, but they're 10-7 and they're in the playoffs, right, Joe? The standard's the standard.
That's right.
It was Mike Tomlin, right? Mediocre Mike. Anyway, with 6:02 left in the first quarter, Chris Boswell kicked a 32-yard field goal to give the Steelers their only lead of the game, 3-0. With 8:28 left in the second quarter, Christian Kirk caught a 6-yard pass from C.J. Stroud to take the lead, 7-3 Texans. With 1:57 left in the second, Boswell kicked his second field goal, this time for 35 yards to cut the lead to 7-6 Titans. With 13:07 left in the fourth quarter, Kai Fairbairn kicked a 51-yard field goal to bring the score to 10-6 Titans. With 11:23 left in the fourth, Sheldon Rankins had a 33-yard fumble return to bring the score to 17-6 Texans. With 3:38 left in the fourth, Woody Marks, my name's Woody. Howdy, partner. Reach for the sky. Hit a 33-yard score to bring the score to 24-6 Titans. Let's see. We have a comment here, Joe, at Izzy Rebel. She says, good luck, Joe, versus Denver.
I just saw that comment. I was waiting for you to finish. So thanks so much for joining us, and good to see you here. And thank you for the well wishes, and we'll send you the good luck wishes right back to you, her being a 49ers fan. So we wish you the best as well.
Exactly, Izzy. Okay, so with 2:59 left in the 2:39 left in the fourth, Caden Bullock had a 50-yard interception return, but Fairbairn missed the extra point to close out the game at 30-6 Texans. Mm-hmm. So, Joe, what did you think about the Texans' killer defense once again coming through in the playoffs?
Again, I've said it before, I don't know if it's as good, but whose defense this is reminding me of? As a Giants fan, it brings back bad memories, but back in 2000, there was a team called the Ravens who just dominated everybody the last half of the season into the playoffs, ultimately winning the Super Bowl. Again, maybe not as good with this defense, but they're just not letting up. And they're for real. And I would not be surprised to see this team go all the way, just like the Ravens did back in 2000 there. So,
or the 85 Bears.
And the 85, I mean, that's just a one-of-a-kind defense there. But like I said, recent memory, this team reminds me of the 2000 Ravens a little bit. This doesn't surprise me at all. And I think now I'm
except
not
I think CJ Stroud's an actual. I think CJ Stroud actually is a better quarterback. Trent Dilfer was a placeholder for that defense. CJ Stroud, I think, can actually be a franchise quarterback with the Texans. That's the only difference.
Mm-hmm. I think I think the Texans have a better offense than that Ravens team had overall. I mean, including a quarterback and stuff. But so again, this doesn't surprise me. And I think the inevitable happened in Pittsburgh. Now, I know some Steelers fans, obviously, they're disappointed they didn't go far. But I think a lot of them are happy, including some of our cohorts here, that things happen the way they did. And you can reboot and, start again. And a lot of complaints about the mediocrity and things like that. And I mean, again, I'm not a Steelers fan, but I think if I was, I would certainly take this loss as an opportunity to move ahead now. But again, there's no stopping this Houston team, and then sky's the limit for them.
We have Izzy wrote another comment. Well, first one, she said, prayers for Josh Allen. Dude really is Superman.
Yes,
hey, prayers for you, prayers for your team too, because Kyle Shanahan's found a way to keep that team together with duct tape and glue through all the injuries. As Ken the Bears fan always says, remember her?
That's right.
No, Ken the Bears fans always says that. And but she also said Houston did struggle not long ago with the Raiders. And she said, but if y'all make the AFC championship game, who would you rather face, Vrabel or Ryans? That's a really good question.
That's a very good question. Well,
first of all, you got to remember there are two teams who we did play, but actually go first, Joe, and then I'll say what I'm going to say.
Yeah, they're both very good. And you know, you got to beat anybody that comes in your path if you're going to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I think the Texans would be a tougher game than the Patriots would. Mm-hmm. So I would rather, if I had a choice, not that the Patriots would be an easy game by any means, but I think they would have a better chance. The Bills, I think, would have a better chance to beat the Patriots than the Texans.
I agree with that point, Joe, especially with that. But Izzy, one good thing, though, is they're both teams we already faced, so we already know them, which is good. And the funny thing about Houston is Josh Allen was sacked 8 times, but I think a lot of people forgot that Buffalo's defense played well too, and they were still one Josh Allen game-winning drive from actually beating Houston too. And New England, they obviously split, so they were both. But they were all tight games against those two teams too, so that's a good thing. Anyway, Joe, it is now that time to make our picks for the divisional round games. So you want to go first?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so first we have Saturday, January 17th. The first game is the 6th-seeded Buffalo Bills on the road, taking on the number 1 seed Denver Broncos at 4:30 p.m. Now, obviously, the Bills already played a game and beat the Jags, but this is a team we didn't see in the regular season. So what are your thoughts on this matchup?
This is going to be another game, you know, like the Jaguars game. It's going to be back and forth, 2 quality teams. Both teams, again, just like Jacksonville, both good enough to win, both playing to win. And, you know, this is coming a quarter from the heart and about 3/4 from the brain. I just think the Bills outlast the Broncos on a last-second field goal. I see the Bills 24, Broncos 23.
I see the Bills doing that too. I think it comes to a game-winning field goal, but I got 23-20.
Okay.
And the second game, look at this. A 6th seed in the NFC, the 49ers coming off an upset of Philly, taking on the Seattle Seahawks, who the number 1 seed Seattle Seahawks. And this would be the rubber match between the 49ers and the Seahawks. So they've already played each other twice at 8:00 p.m. What about this one, Joe?
All right. So the good news, again, is we got Melissa here watching us and chiming in. The bad news is she might hate me after this prediction here. I think again, it's going to be a great game. I think the Seahawks prevail only again because the 49ers, again, have been running uphill this whole time. Again, they've gotten, so far with the tape and glue, like you were saying. Again, sorry, Melissa, but I got to go Seahawks here. I'm saying 27-23, 27-23 Seahawks here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me the Hawks at home. I'm going to say 24-13.
Okay.
Mhm. And finally, the last two games on Sunday, January 18th. The first game will be the the fifth-seeded Houston Texans traveling to Foxborough to take on the 2-seed New England Patriots.
All right. It's funny. Melissa here says she says she's not mad at me. She says we like everybody doubting us. So they've been doing it for a
Same
long
way.
time, and look where you are. So
They've
yeah,
been doubting us too, Joe. They doubted us
That's
against
true.
Jacksonville. Look what happened.
so we'll keep doubting, and then maybe you'll keep moving on. Who knows? So okay, this game is again. This is going to be one of those classics. Ultimately, I see it again. A potential last-second field goal here. Houston 24, New England 21.
Yep, I think Drake May and the Patriots are a great story, but they compare him to Josh Allen, and even Josh Allen was sacked 8 times against this defense. So give me Houston to rack up a sack party against Drake May, and I think the Texans squeak this one out. I'm going to say 28-25.
Okay.
Game-winning field goal. And lastly, the 6:30 game, we have the 5th seed Los Angeles Rams taking on the number 2 seed, the comeback kids, the cardiac Chicago Bears.
All right. So I honestly think that the Rams are going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. And when you get a team like this that gets a major scare in the first round, a lot of times when they get past that, they kind of cruise the rest of the way. And I could see this happening to the Rams here. And they're going up against a team that's lucky to be there. You know, the Bears, I mean, you know, again, kudos for their comeback and they earned it. But a lot of times when a team goes through that, you know, they struggle in the next game and kind of the law of averages catch up to them. So between the Rams kind of getting their scare and now moving away from that and kind of coasting, I think, and the Bears getting their wild victory here that they had to work so hard for, I think it's going to be a big struggle for them. So I think they keep it close. But I got this game, Rams 27, Bears 20.
And in my article, Joe, I did say the Rams and the Seahawks were 2 teams I'd be worried about if the Bills made a run. So I think it's going to be a good game. I got the Rams 30, Bears 27.
Okay.
So that was it. That's it for our predictions there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, the second Tuesday of 2026?
Yeah, it's already moving pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
But right, we're almost halfway through January. But you can find me, Joe Dell Sports, Twitter X, just putting my 2 cents in, talking about trends and some stats and things like that in there. And again, we'll be commenting more on the Bills game and these other games as well.
And then you can find me, yours truly, at Bills Chat 1, at Bills Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtigs and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and ring the bell for notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Productions, please visit our YouTube page, Twitch stream, Facebook stream, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys very much for oops. Joe? What happened there? Where'd you go? Where are you?
Backstage.
Oh, hold on. Let me remove these comments here. Maybe that's why. Hold on. I can't see you.
Okay, I'm backstage. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah. But anyway, Dig and Mirrors for listening. And remember, folks, let's give a shout out to head coach Mike Tomlin for his stellar 19-year run with the Steelers, and to John Harbaugh for his 18-year stay with the Baltimore Ravens. And let's wish our Bills good luck in their division round against the Broncos in Mile High Stadium this Saturday. And to quote our friend Chris Berman, nobody circles the playoff wagons like the Buffalo Bills. See you next week, folks.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.